Welcome back to the Book Reading Bitch Queens podcast. I'm Allie.
And I'm Sam.
This week we're jumping into chapter 14. We are visiting the Suriel.
Finally, yeah. The whole scene is basically just this conversation.
Yeah, love it.
I do have a question to start us off today, and it's not a wed bed behead, but I want to know if you could ask the Suriel one question pertaining to the Maasverse. What would your question be?
That's a hard one. Well, okay, because it has to be something we think we're gonna find stuff out in the books.
Fair.
So maybe something I think that we'll never know. What do we never know?
Or just what we don't know now that you are like dying to find out before she gets to Crescent City book 7.
I mean, Rhys is probably my number one, like, who the fuck, what is that? Also, maybe, like, Dorian's power is very interesting and untapped, too. He has raw magic. I think Rhys has raw magic, too, right? Does it say that? Or am I insane? Maybe not. I guess he has power of night. But I feel like, for someone else who's described with raw magic.
To where he can also shift.
Yeah, because he can do anything with his magic, because it's, like, raw.
So, like, is he Fey? Because he's not Fey.
He's something.
Is he a little bit Valg? Because his dad was possessed with Valg when he was conceived.
Was it? Oh. Well, maybe that's why he could resist it, although that would... Raw magic.
You have better questions than I had. I thought about this question and was just like, I want to know who Azrael's mate is. But I was like, bitch, you can wait. You impatient little girl.
No, I'd be afraid she'd be like, he's unmated because he's actually a, he was created by the whatever fucking demons of hell, and he's not a real person. Have a mate. No, I'm just kidding. I could just wait for some heartbreaking shit like that.
Yeah, right. She's like, I don't give him a mate. He gets no mates.
He's soulless. Yeah. I'd be afraid to know some shit like that.
I did see a theory that the mate bond between Cassian and Nesta was not fated, but made. That she made the bond.
Who did?
Nesta. The same way that she, like, made the house.
Did she make the house?
Yeah, oh yeah, right? Like, she fell and going down the stairs, and she, like, reached out and put some magic into it, and all of a sudden the fucking house was, like, Smart House from Disney 1997.
Wait, I thought it was always like that, and she just discovered it because she became friends with it over time.
No, she made it.
Yeah, and how did I miss that?
So it was saying that, like, they were saying, like, the description of their mate bond it's not a snapping, it's this, like, very magical, like, it wraps around them kind of a thing.
Interesting.
And so, like, has more of an essence of choice as opposed to fated mates.
I like that too. Because that's
like
number one trait is her fucking sheer force of will, so it makes sense that she would
go with her own and then, like, I mean, we talked a little bit about Bryce and Hunt, like, that seems like it was sort of a mate by choice, right? That they were like, is this what we want to be? And then because they both agreed to it, the mate bond snapped into place when they had sex in the fucking Ariel's magic kingdom.
Yeah. Well, I always thought that they were mates because mates don't exist the same way in that universe or in that world. Like, that's why I thought they were chosen mates like that.
Well, I mean, she says, right, that mates work differently for Faye, that it's, like, forever, and he's like, well, I'm not going anywhere. And, like, granted, it's between an angel and a Faye, but, like, technically Feyre, I mean, if we are under the assumption that she is wholly human, right, was already fated to Rhys when she was a human?
Well, maybe they weren't mates yet, but maybe they were fated to be mates, and so because the cauldron, maybe because she was never going to escape her fate, that kind of thing. But I wouldn't necessarily assume that Crescent City has to be the same system, that it could just be in Crescent City, there are no mates, and you choose mates, and in ACOTAR, there are fated mates, and in Throne of Glass, maybe there's something, maybe that's also fated. I don't know. That's what I would kind of assume. Or I could entertain that they would have different mate systems, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Hunt never bites anybody that we know of.
Oh yeah, that is the one. That is this. But Tamlin bites Feyre. That doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, because his ancestors are fucking Rowan and Aelin, and that's how you fucking
Lydia
made up.
Lysandra and Aedion.
For someone who's not into a blonde-haired, blue-eye moment, I swoon for Aedion. But I told you, I'm, like, the only person on the planet who likes him.
No, there are other people who like him. It's just that everyone hates him because he like threw, the Lysandra out in the cold thing. That they're like, I can never forgive them. And I'm like,
Okay,
that was shitty, but like
it
I
was
don't
shitty,
dismiss
but
his whole character.
also she went along with the plan that got Aelin captured by Maeve.
But I don't. That's what she was supposed to do.
So, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like I could see why he was upset about it because, right, he's been searching for his cousin for all
Yeah.
these years, and then he finds her and someone that he cares very deeply for, and then they together make this choice, and he can't be mad at Aelin because she's being tortured and she's gone. So all of that's getting taken out on Lysandra, which is not fair, but it's not unforgivable.
No, but I
What
do
is
think
unforgivable is killing his fucking dad.
Yeah.
I was so pissed. So pissed.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like that it feels like a real cost. It's like the Fred killing Fred argument.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah. Anywho, chapter 14.
So, we open with her talking about like the instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think there's anything to no one had stopped me, that whole part?
Yes, because either there's nobody there,
which we know isn't true,
or she can't see them and they're just like crazy little human. I don't know what she's doing, but she got herself a chicken and a bow and arrow, and she stole Lucian's knife because, like, let's be real, they don't know about the conversation, so they're just like, what is she doing now? Like, I feel like she is like when you get a new puppy and like it starts chasing its own tail or doing some stupid shit, and you're just like, what's this little shit doing now? What are you playing with? Like, literally all of the phase, like she asked for a dead chicken and she's got weapons.
Surely they know what that means, or maybe they don't. Maybe it's a secret. I don't know.
Or Lucian was like, don't bother her, I sent her on an errand.
Like, I know, that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, well, actually, I was wondering also that she sees a little glimmers and like she's clearly seeing a little bit through the glamour. And I was like, is that maybe she's saying it because they're trying to stop her, that they can't interact with her because they're glamored?
Well, yeah. So then that thing, right, is not that they're like making fun of her, but being like, we can't stop her because she can't see us and we can't interact. So
yeah. So maybe I was like, maybe that's why she's seeing more of them. But
or my thought, because I wrote down, right, Tamlin's glamour is weakening on Feyre too. That maybe this is also the same amount of like the weakening that Nesta talks about, how she's like, I got glimpses of what happened and had to force myself to remember. Maybe this is kind of how it worked for her, was that it was like, the peripherals were weak, basically, and like, and so maybe that's what we're seeing, because again, we hear that Nesta and Feyre are, the two sides of the same coin. And so maybe this is what that looks like, was that like the depletion of his glamour working on them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I wonder, both times we've seen this, it's when Tamlin's not there, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it gets weaker if he's further away?
It could.
It's kind of interesting. The other thing I was thinking about the Lucien though is, or the no one stopped me. I was like, it could just be that like they can't talk to her. It could just be that they're like, whatever. And but I also was like, I wonder if our cracked Lucien theory, like if he was like, we're gonna let her go find out. Maybe they all are like holding their breath, thinking maybe the Suriel can tell her really what's up, and then she can actually help us, and then blah blah blah. Or maybe Lucien actually wants her to die. I don't really think so, but
I don't think so either. But I think that they're like, well, we can't tell her anything. But if she knew, would that be such a bad thing?
I personally would not be wanting her to find out. I'd be like, she would know, and then it would never work. You can't fall in love with someone if you think that you gotta fall in love with them. Maybe you can.
Well, you can. I mean, first off, arranged marriages work.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. She's got like 2 months at this point or something.
No, but I mean, if she knew what was going on, right, she could start to feel sympathy for Tamlin.
Yeah.
And start to feel something more for him than fear and whatever. And she could be like, okay, well, like, I don't know if I can love you, right? That's a bit much, but like, I'm not going anywhere anyways because of this quote unquote treaty that's not really a thing.
Well, but then she would find out that it's not a thing.
Yeah. Yep. That's, I don't know.
It probably can't be true that Lucien intends her, but
No,
it's
I
weird
don't think
that
so.
he
But
still
I
allows her
think
to go.
because I think he thinks it's unfair that she doesn't know any of it. Or
Yeah.
that he's like, I feel like Lucien would tell her pieces if he was able to tell her anything, but he's not able to tell her anything. So I'm thinking he's like, well, fuck it.
Maybe
Maybe she'll
Suriel
get some
can.
answers. Like, and that's the thing is, even she asks, like, is there any way to break the treaty? And the Suriel says no, even though the treaty isn't really a thing, right?
Okay, I have thoughts about that too.
And yeah, so like, is the treaty a real thing? Is it not? I mean, she doesn't necessarily say it that you can't break the treaty. She says that I keep saying she for the Suriel, sorry, it, they, whatever.
I keep calling it a he on accident.
Beautiful. Then we'll cover we'll cover 2 of our bases, not all of the bases,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Do you think there's anything else to the Western Woods or to the fact that she's like never been there?
No, but I do know that that's where Tamlin's at, so
Yeah, so maybe it's just meant to be like you're close by.
well, and then like so maybe also when he like fucking ex machinas the shit out of the scene in the next one, people aren't like, wait, what? And you're like, well, no, because like in chapter 13 it says he's in the Western Woods. That's where she goes. We're told that again in 14. I think it's kind of covering her bases so that when he does come and like rescue her, people aren't like, what the fuck? He's just following her? Is he Edward? But you know, like he's kind of already in this area.
Okay.
For what we don't know, but
yeah. Now I was also thinking about what about the ancient the ancient forest? I mean, it feels it could just be like, you know, this is a tone setter. Obviously it sounds magical and cool and creepy,
but she feels it in the marrow of her bones.
Yes, that's my line. I was like, there it is.
Yeah. Now, as a historian myself,
Mhm.
I could read, like, I underlined the, like, first human in 500 years to walk beneath those heavy, dark branches. Like, I can totally understand that feeling,
Yes.
that, like, reverence for it's like, this is old as shit. I might be the first person to be here. Like, that is, like, as a historian, would be an amazing feeling. And so the whole, like, the forest was ancient, but it's this, like, alive feeling in my bones, whatever. That felt something that felt different
Yes.
than the, like, I might be the first person to be here in 500 years. Like, that's a reverence moment as opposed to this, like, instinctual, there's shit going on in here.
Yeah. And that, you know, deep in the marrow of my bones, I always think that. I'm always flagging that. And we already talked about the glamour. And then that to me is also her instincts. Like,
well, and like, who knows? I don't usually hang out in ancient forests where I could be killed by magical creatures. So like maybe there is a human instinct that says, this is not for you, homie. Like, go home. Right. And so
interesting that she always describes her human instinct as a thing that is afraid of death, but like you're only human right now, so why is it your human part of you? That's the only part of you, and that's really where I get some of my wheels turning with like, the human part of her is afraid, but not.
But then she stayed, or you're like, but then I didn't move, and I didn't do that. I didn't stay, and you're like, huh?
So it's not all of you. Some part of you stayed. So which part of you is something else? Yeah. I haven't told you that before. That's one of the things that I've always come back to is like, that's one of the reasons I think she's something, is because she always says the human part of me.
Huh.
Maybe I haven't mentioned it before. But
well,
also,
remember, I do that too. I have a tendency to forget shit.
So. I know. But that's also kind of like what it's just kind of like maybe an artistic way of describing fear. Like, but I don't know. I'm reading into it. Okay. Also, I have something for your theory.
Which theory?
Well, I just thought it was interesting. She goes, I wondered in what ways Tamlin had to answer to its High Lord, or if it was his High Lord who had carved out Lucien's eye. Maybe it was the High Lord's consort, the she whom Lucien had mentioned that instilled such fear in them. And your sort of theory is that Amaranth is Tamlin's mate, and so he or she knows. She knows.
I underlined the same thing. I said, why'd you go straight to consort, my dear? What?
Yeah.
Ooh, was it the High Lord's consort? You bet she was trying to be. Well, because she wants Tamlin.
Yeah.
So, like, even if she's not mated, right, she wants to be the High Lord's consort.
And Feyre knew. I mean,
I also, like, kind of, like, circled, I guess, like, I pushed away the thought. The thought, like, I was like, "Why? Why would you push away that thought? Because you're uncomfortable?" Like, I don't know, it just felt a little, like,
yeah, she's choosing to not think about it. I mean, maybe it's just because
and,
she
like,
doesn't want to think about Lucien getting his eye carved out or something, but
that's what I'm saying, like, there's a lot of little thoughts here, and sure, you're like, "Okay, well, what do you not wanna think about?" Like,
yeah.
Tamlin's relationship with the High Lord,
Oh, yeah,
this
yeah.
woman, right? This consort of the High Lord. Like, you don't wanna think about the role of a consort of a High Lord,
Scary.
right? Right?
Yeah.
What kind of power that could, what kind of evil moment that could be, like, I don't know. It's just, I
Well,
was
when
like,
we
"Huh,
know that it's Amarantha, I think you're like, oh, this is the first moments of fear we have of Amarantha, but like, she doesn't know to be afraid of Amarantha yet.
no."
So, yeah.
I mean, other than assuming that she might be, the blight.
I don't think she assumes that yet. Oh, maybe she does actually. Maybe she said something in the last thing. Um,
Well, or just like she knows that Lucian is afraid of a woman or of a she
yes.
character. So yes, I mean, like, maybe she's just like, like, I don't have enough information, and it's also not, that's not the question she's wanting to ask the Suriel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why she's like, I can't worry
Can't think
myself
about
about
that.
all this bullshit questions. Like, I got this question that I got to ask.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And then we get some hunting stuff. I didn't have anything on this kind of like until the next page, really. Oh, I thought it
Oh,
was funny. She's already bored of spring cloak.
yeah,
The
yeah.
spring cloak.
I like underlined that section too, where it was like, did Tamlin or Lucian ever grow tired of day after day of eternal spring, or even venture to the other territories if only to experience a different season? I wouldn't have minded endless mild spring while looking after my family. Winter brought us dangerously close to death every year. But if I were immortal, I might want a little variety to pass the time. I'd probably want to do more than lurk about the manor house too, though I still hadn't worked up the nerve to make the request that had crept into the back of my mind when I saw the mural. She wants to go.
Yeah, well, is that their okay? My question was, what is the request? Is it just I want to visit places? Does she want
She
to
wants
visit the night court? I'm just kidding.
she wants to see Prithian.
Just all of it, you think, or do you
Mhm.
think it's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and that makes sense. But like,
But I also love that she's like, yeah, I mean, like, this court would be fine and stuff, but like, yeesh.
Well, even she acknowledges, like, for my starving self, it's great.
Yeah.
But that starving self
From
is not
Yeah,
here.
yeah. From my bottom level of the pyramid self would be great, but once I find myself and some, like, I would want a little variety. And she gets that variety in the night court because the night court has all those seasons.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's why I was like, I wonder if her request, maybe because she was kind of very intrigued by the night court, maybe her request is to see the night court specifically. But I do think it's probably just all the courts. But
Yeah.
part of me was like, that's fate telling her go, and so she has this weird request. She's like, I'm not gonna ask that. That's weird.
Yeah, she's like, I saw this really cool map of like your entire world. I was just wondering, you mind showing me around a little bit? I mean, we have forever together, Tammy. So
we have my 70 years.
right. And then I'm just like imagining like a really bad rendition of like I Can Show You the World where Tamlin's on his winnow shit. Sorry.
Oh my god, yeah.
I mean, if we're going
He'd probably
Disney,
be like,
right?
I could show you the world, and then like open up to be like, here's Autumn.
I
You
can
see
show
it?
you
You see
all
it?
of it's in a book, babe.
Like, it's good enough.
You can read about it in all these books in my library, and then you can paint it if you'd like.
I need to get back to catch the game. Can we go? Spring court's not even that cool.
Right? Even Hunt's like, damn, bro, that's rough. I'm not even into the game that much.
Sorry, that's just my stereotype of like dumb man.
No, that's fair. I get it.
I'm not a sports watcher. Okay, there was also one more thing I was gonna say. Oh, I just want to throw out. I probably want to do more than lurk about a manor house too. She's already feeling trapped. So that's all I got to say about that.
Especially because this house is huge, right? Manor houses are huge, especially compared to her quote hovel that she came from, and already she's like,
She's like, this feels wrong.
Yeah, what am I doing here? Can we be doing anything else? Especially because he doesn't give her anything to do there.
Yeah.
Right? There's no task, there's no meaning, there's no earn your keep, there's no nothing.
Rhys immediately gives her a task, right? He doesn't let her chill that first week, or does she kind of lay around in bed the first week?
She lays around for a little bit, but I think he's already on his like hooked on phonics already.
Yeah.
Well, and he forces her to eat, right? He's like, you have to get out of bed. You got to come in here. You got to eat. You got to write how I'm amazing. You got to be mad at the world, and that's fine. And then you can go back to bed and fuck off. But there's a really big, beautiful pool bath thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
So chill, hang out. And I'm going to not go into your mind and look at your boobies.
Yeah, I did going into someone's mind just to see their memories of looking at themselves naked.
That's a man thing.
But you're just gonna get like a vision of her being like, what the fuck is this? Like, or like, you know, I don't know, I can just imagine.
Does this look weird?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Rhys's fucked up x-ray vision.
Right? Just like this fucking bra. My God. Am I ovulating? They're so big right now.
Yep.
Owning breasts is not sexy. It really just isn't. But yeah, Rhys can look into our minds.
Okay, so what do we think about the ripple of silence? That's my next underline. The first instinct about the Suriel is the ripple of silence. Is there anything to that? Or is that interesting?
Well, we got the same thing when when the bog, right? Everything went silent.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yes, and again with the nagas, right? Because she's like, we're not alone, and then that's when Feyre's like, well, the forest had already gone silent because of the Suriel, so I couldn't tell that it had gone silent.
Oh, that's so interesting.
I think it's supposed to be like predatory, right?
Yeah.
That if there is a predator somewhere, then the prey go quiet. And again, I don't watch the Discovery Channel as often as I should as a parent, apparently. So I don't know the realities of that. But I think that's what it's supposed to be like, is that there's this like,
it's like when sharks swim by and all the fish hide.
Yeah, like this very primordial response of there's a predator amongst us.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
But she feels that or hears it? Does she think you think she feels it too?
I think she feels it. I don't know. It just said it came toward her.
Where were you reading?
Bottom third of 125. I think I was just thinking about, like, do we know any other metaphors or, like, you know, do we know any resonance with the word silence? And does that imply anything else in the universe?
I just settled in again when a ripple of silence came towards me. That's a feeling.
Yeah. Maybe it's nothing. I was just thinking, like, you know, I just go, oh, what else has been described with silence? But maybe nothing really. Kind of interesting, though. Especially since, like, silence is, like, an absence.
There was not a silence when she was in the forest with Andros.
No?
No, because he wasn't a predator.
Oh, that is...
He, in fact, was the prey. Yeah, she just sees him, right? She's, like, looking at this deer, and then she catches the eye of the wolf, and he pauses, and then she shoots it, and the ground quakes.
Yeah, that is so interesting. Well, yeah. I was just thinking maybe it, like, has something to do with, like, the Suriel has interesting, like, sort of truth powers, and I don't know, I was just thinking about, like, silence is kind of like this, yeah, it's like an absence of something, and it made me think of, like, void a little bit, like,
yeah,
I don't know, but that's, like, kind of a world, but it's, I don't know.
It's not a different world if we think that this is Kaltain.
Exactly. But, well, the void itself, yeah.
Well, but then the Naga, allegedly, so far, maybe also render this silent in the forest as well.
Well, yes, we'll get there. Okay, and then our first description of the Suriel is on. Oh, we also get a living cage, just feeling caged in the spring court. Of course she is. But then our first description of the Suriel is on 126. Oh, the cage description is at the bottom of 125.
Oh, Mm-hmm. There's another cage moment with the Suriel, but we'll get there.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know, usually I pay attention really close when it's like with Tamlin, but yeah.
But if this is Kaltain, that's an issue because she was caged.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, do we think that's... I don't remember. I need to read Crescent City for the Reaper's description. Suriel and they're for sure different, right?
Yeah, they're different.
Okay. But they've always seemed weirdly kind of closely...
Well, because it's cloaky. They kind of have it...
adjacent.
Yep.
Okay.
Although the Suriel seems burnt.
Burnt?
Yeah, it seems burnt.
Why do you say that?
Well,
blackened gums, feather-worn bones.
Yeah, like dried, weathered bones, skin either forgotten or discarded, a lipless mouth.
Oh.
Slitted hole for nostrils and eyes. Like, it sounds I mean, I don't want to be crass, but like Kaltain is burned.
Yeah.
She goes up in flames. And I mean, if we're talking about a grotesque description, right, plus added time and magic, right? I'm not saying that this is what burn victims look like, but you could overlap that, right? Like, it's dried, it's weathered, right? The skin is forgotten or discarded. The lipless mouth, right? Like, that fleshy bits kind of disintegrate. Noses go away when people are right, have burns on their faces.
Yeah, I mean, I do love the Kaltain theory, but I guess I never like applied it that hard. But yeah, that is very interesting.
Now, I don't know how it's older than the bones of that earth and how the fuck that makes sense. That's tricky. But I do think
if Throne of Glass is before this world.
But I do think that it's a viable theory.
And, you know, it could still be viable.
Probably more viable than my nameless dad theory. So, like...
No, that is actually true. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, if Throne of Glass is in a different time period, then she could be older than the bones of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we get another on 126 in the bottom third run, some primal intrinsically human part of me whispered.
Yeah,
it's just another example of that sort of thing. And we get our first, is this our first watery bowels mention?
Yeah.
So noted.
I will never make my character's bowels go watery.
I don't think most people do.
No, I think that like it's often described as like a heaviness or right, like your stomach drops or something. But yeah, like the
you think that's what she's describing? That's what she's trying to describe?
No, I think she's scared shitless.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Like she feels like she's about to shit herself.
Yeah. Like.
Okay. I've never felt fear like that. To be frank, I don't understand this feeling.
No, because technically, biologically speaking, your body would not shit itself.
No, but I feel like I don't even understand how you get to that description.
Although now we need to fact check that, because I don't know if your body gets so scared that it does shit itself so that it expels anything that's in there so that you can run faster, or if it's one of those things that it turns off, because I know it turns off your metabolism.
I know when you die, you shit yourself.
Yeah, but like the adrenaline and cortisol and all that kind of stuff, like when your fear, your fight or flight is activated. Anyways, whatever. This got real sciencey.
Well, and the vomiting also. I'm like, when I'm scared, I'm not gonna throw up. I guess maybe she's disgusted when she does that. Anyway, first watery bowels mention. And a lot of white with the Suriel as well.
White?
Yeah, the white, the eyes, the swirling pits of white, the white of death, the white of sickness, the white of clean pit corpses. Yeah, I guess it's very kind of like white and black. And I think it's interesting that it clicks its fingers. I guess maybe it gives me the impression of like bones, like if you didn't have any skin.
That, or it's one of those annoying ass fucking TikTokers that goes like this every time they want to fucking talk about something. Drives me absolutely nuts.
That is such a...
I got this new cup.
Yes.
Like, I fucking hate it. As someone who also gets their nails done, you don't need to talk with your fingertips. Thanks. But anyways, that's just me.
No, now I'm at the point where if I see done nails, I'm like, stop. Sweater paws, stop it. I just get annoyed.
I thought it was interesting, like the voice was at once old, or one and many, old and young, beautiful and grotesque. It's a cool description.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to get from that, but it's a cool description.
But and you get the impression like it's like a multitude of people. Like maybe the Suriel is, maybe Kaltain's a part of the Suriel. Maybe a Suriel is a composite of fucking souls. I don't know. That's very Dementor vibes.
No, but like there's notions of like that like traumas can live in a place and create an entity, right? I mean, I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but that's a thing that people subscribe to, that like if there's a traumatic event that happens somewhere, that sometimes the event can create that like vibe of that place. That's not necessarily a ghost, right? But that like bad shit happens somewhere.
Oh, interesting. I thought you were talking about like different personalities, but you mean like in the place where it occurred?
Yeah, in a place like in say like a super old school like insane asylum, right? We don't call them that anymore, but like that's what they were called back in the day, right? That like in a place of great abuse and trauma, that pain lives in that space in a way that's not tied to a particular person, but it's tied to the space. So like maybe the Suriel is like this conglomerate of experience or emotion or trauma or truth or something.
That's interesting. Yeah, it definitely feels like it has that feel. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I do think it's interesting. The first question is, which of my brethren betrayed
Uh-huh.
my secrets to you? Besides obviously the trap question, but like the first like kind of real question is it thinking that another Suriel told, or does it consider Faye or like Lucien
That's
specifically
what
its
I was thinking.
brethren?
I didn't consider another Suriel.
Well,
I considered
it says they
Lucien.
have numbers. There's supposed to be other Suriels somewhere.
Hmm.
But I was like, are we calling Lucien brother?
Interesting.
Or
Yeah.
you think that you're the same species as Faye and you would call a high Faye your brother?
I assumed that it was like that she would be ratting out Lucien in this moment. And so Lucien would be the brethren because they're of Prythian, but the
Oh.
Suriel's not of Prythian.
Oh, right, yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, so maybe but when you say brethren like that, I assume you're thinking like same species.
Yeah, like how like humans are of the same. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And then
I can smell the lies on your breath.
yeah, I think it's funny that my mother told me stories of you, and he's like, bullshit. Another kind of fun, it's kind of like in both cases, people seem to know. In multiple cases, people seem to know Feyre's mom better than she does.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tamlin's like, did your mom tell you about us? And then he's like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Maybe he knew her. I mean, that would be insane. But I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. It's kind of this. It gave the same vibes as Tamlin being like that moment with Tamlin.
She doesn't ask about the treaty. She says, "Is there truly no way for me to go home?"
Yeah.
If the Suriel knows that she's supposed to be staying with a different High Lord, where's home?
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
if she were to go to the Night Court, absolutely her family would be killed.
Why? Who's gonna kill her family if she goes to the Night Court? I mean, I guess to get to the Night Court, she would have to.
But who becomes her family? I'm not talking about her sisters. I'm talking about the inner circle. If she went to the Night Court right now, which she's had an inclination to possibly do, she just hasn't worked up the energy to ask. That would put her family that she chooses, right, that she becomes a part of, at risk.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't necessarily think that's what's happening, but I also think she goes back home at some point and nothing happens to her sisters. I mean, granted, in this book.
Yes.
So what do you mean if you go home, you'll be killed and your family with you? No, because Tamlin sent you home and you garden with your weird sister and you bond with the mean one and then you go back and you die, but nothing happens to them.
Yeah, that's why I was like wondering, like, okay, so maybe like the Suriel is seen by Faye as this truth teller, but just the way that humans see Faye as truth tellers, the Suriel doesn't have to tell the truth. Or maybe he holds some kind of maybe he doesn't see truth. He sees multiple timelines. So maybe like if right now Feyre went back to her family, everyone in her and her family would die, and so he's seeing an alternate
she would
reality.
Go to her family and be like, "There's a blight. Let's do something."
Or I mean, or it's just as simple as like Amaranth and never gets stopped and they eventually kill her. But yeah,
that's true, right? Like maybe it's not immediate, right? But unless you seek to be killed and your family with you, you must remain here.
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, I also just like I was just like, what truth is he seeing? Why they go to him because they think he's gonna tell the truth, and also I don't know, yeah. But I like the interpretation of like her other family, the chosen family, because he definitely intentionally skews things. I also wonder, like, is he really thinking about High Lord Rhys when he says this, or is he just fucking with her later when he's like, that's what I meant by High Lord? You know what I mean? Because
because that was my other thing. I was like, so the Suriel knows that Rhys is good?
Well, I think if he knows
or can see the future.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why I was like, maybe he's seeing like different fates. He sees the different options. Oh yeah, and so okay, no, I didn't realize the Suriel was the one who told her. I mean, I guess I did.
With the High Lord of the Spring Court?
Oh, you know what those clicks remind me of? They remind me of the fucking spiders in Harry Potter, actually. Yeah, did you say you were tracking when she finds out when Tamlin's a High Lord?
Yeah.
Did you have like a theory associated with that, or were you just like, when the fuck is she
gonna find out? Yeah, I just couldn't remember.
Okay, I should have remembered because that seems obvious now. Wait, did you have something else? Because I have a bit.
I mean, I underlined they are power, right? They're not just merely powerful, but they are power. I think that's the second time that we've been to Lucien says that, right?
Yeah, well, and this one has a capital P. Does the other one have a capital P power? Because that's very...
Don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know where he says that. I thought that was super interesting. Like, and she says, okay, that's why Tamlin can survive the bog. I actually thought that the Suriel said that, but no, that's actually just what she thinks. Hold on, let me see. My train of thinking is like, okay, High Lords were invented. When were High Lords put in place? Because we used to have a king. And maybe I should look it up instead of just randomly being like, I don't remember. Just right after the death of the king.
Do we know the king's name?
Theon with an F. But yeah, no, I just think that their power itself, I don't know, it just makes me think like, okay, so is this like the source of power in this world is the cauldron. So are they like maybe were the High Lords like originally made, and that's how we get High Lords, and that's why the power transfers, because like is Feyre, well, no, I don't know, there's weird implications. I'm just like, what is this power?
Or it was created to as like a checks and balances almost, right? That like the king can't hold all the power. He can't be all the power in Prythian anymore. So now they separate into these courts to disperse that power.
And they are power itself. Maybe it's just a turn of phrase. Maybe the Suriel's just being dramatic.
Yeah, but I mean, when they come together, they could resurrect a human.
Yeah.
And make them.
Yeah,
they
I
can
just like
do together what the cauldron can do.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just had all these thoughts.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay. Well. Anyway. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that more at some point too. But and then we get the older than the bones of this world, which also implies older than even the king. Maybe like older than the Daglan, older than presumably older than the wild. Oh, that's what I'd want to know is fucking the Wild Hunt and what the fuck is up with that. I guess we'll probably find out in the next video. Or the next fucking book.
We have a Wild Hunt in this book?
Yes. Yes, that's what Lanthus, he's part of the Wild Hunt.
Who is?
Lanthus in Nesta's book.
Okay.
Did I just...
No, I don't even know who the fuck this character is you're talking about.
Lanthus
right now.
is the wind guy in the prison that Nesta has to fight when the village passes.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Every time I hear Lanthus, I think Ianthe, and then I get so fucking confused.
Yeah, because it's that NTH.
Yeah.
It's funny. He would love to fuck. That's who he deserves, is Ianthe.
Yep. Okay, so stay with the High Lord human. That's all you can do. You will be safe. Do not interfere. Do not go looking for answers after day, or you'll be devoured by the shadow of Prythian. He will shield you from it, so stay close to him. All will be righted. I mean, this works for Tamlin or Rhys, so I guess in hindsight, if she was like, you meant Rhys, huh? The Suriel could be like, yeah.
Well, he did say that's what I meant. But...
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if I had said some shit and then it worked out differently, but it worked out right, I'd be like, yep, that's what I meant.
Or maybe like, maybe he did mean Tamlin but maybe he maybe he speaks truth and doesn't understand the truth that he speaks. So when he says it later, it makes sense. But he didn't understand that he didn't.
So kind of like how a like a seer like a prophet. Like a prophet speaks, right? Where like he may not know specifically that he's talking about Rhys, right? But the prophecy, I guess, that's coming from his mouth is stay with the High Lord.
And then later he's like, oh yeah, of course that's what I meant.
Yeah, you're like, well, that's who you stayed with, and it worked itself out, didn't it? But by definition, she also stayed with Tamlin.
Yeah, and maybe that's also he's just like, oh shit, I got that one wrong. Good thing it worked out. Let's just pretend I did that the whole time.
Yeah, right. I like that's not that, but yes.
Or maybe it's just that because what's interesting. The only part, I think, a big reason that am I crazy? The reason that she perseveres is the reason that she comes back because she remembers the Suriel's words. She's like, oh, I was supposed to stay with the High Lord.
No, she feels the mate bond and she grabs onto it.
No, not when she does. When she's in the spring court, she thinks about it. And she has her like, I gotta go back and get him moment when she's at home. But I wonder if also she's thinking about the Suriel told me to stay with the High Lord and I didn't type of thing.
Yeah, I don't remember. But that's a this book question, so at least we'll get there sooner than later.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's what I was thinking as well. Oh, the other thing about the older than the bones of this world, I was like, that sounds like a world walker, because where else would you come from?
Yeah.
Oh, I also thought this is stupid. I was like, the Rhys's evil theorizers are gonna love that you will be devoured by the shadow over Prythian, because he's often described as the shadow in this book. And I was like, have you seen those theories where people think
yes,
it's actually the big bad? I'm like, fuck you.
Nope, it's not. It's not.
Anyway.
I do think that this, like, he doesn't know that his human woman came to trap the Suriel because he cannot give her answers she seeks. One, fun, realizing that Tamlin can't tell her anything, but also already speaks to, like, even the Suriel knows that she's trapped, right? And, like, speaks to it in a way that Feyre is like, please don't, like, call me his human woman.
Yeah, actually, I thought that was so interestingly parallel to how when he says mate, and the next time she sees him, she's like, "Stop, ew, what the," And it's like you're just like pissed. You just don't want to be told what's what. I'm just kidding, but
I did draw some lines here, because here's how the question and answer goes: is where did the blight come from? And the answer to that question is actually Hybern.
Wait.
So, right. So we have, like, up here, she's like, stay with your High Lord, blah, blah. Then that wasn't exactly an answer. I repeated, where did the blight come from? And then it says, the High Lord doesn't know that you're here today, right? Because he couldn't give you answers. So still not answering the question, right? So then the question is still hanging there. Where did the blight come from? And then the Suriel continues and says, across the violent Western Sea, there's another fairy kingdom called Hybern, ruled by a wicked, powerful king. Yes, a king, he said when I raised a brow. Not a high lord. There, his territory is not divided into courts. There, he is law unto himself. Humans no longer exist in that realm, though their thrones are made of their bones. For some time now, the king of Hybern has found himself unhappy with the treaty. The other ruling high fae of the world made with you humans long ago. He resented it while he was forced to sign it, to let his mortal slaves go and remain confined to his damp green island at the edge of the world. And so 100 years ago, he dispatched a most trusted and loyal commanders, his deadliest warriors, remnants of the ancient armies that once sailed the continent, to wage the brutal war against humans, all of them hungry and as vile as he was. As spies and courtiers and lovers, they infiltrated the high fae courts and kingdoms and empires around the world for 50 years. And when they had gathered enough information, he made his plan. But nearly 5 decades ago, one of his commanders disobeyed him, the deceiver, and we're not alone.
Yes.
She deceives him because she found her mate.
Yes.
But they disguise themselves as spies, courtiers, and lovers.
Yeah, that's making me. Who else? Who the fuck else is a Hybern spy? Obviously, Ianthe. But my sick fucking brain said Lucien. Maybe Lucien was sent to. Do we know why Lucien's bride was killed?
Because she was less than him.
Maybe he was supposed to be doing Hybern's shit because Baron's in link with Hybern, and his dad was like, "Stop fucking around with this human woman. She's lesser than you."
She wasn't human. She was just.
Isn't she? Oh, she's just not like high standing fae.
Yeah.
Okay, so. But, like, I could just see, now, again, this is, like, really out there, but, like, what if Baron's linked up with Hybern, because he's an asshole, Lucien, as son, is, like, assigned to do some of this, be one of these spies. He doesn't want to because he's in love with this girl. Baron's like, you're gonna do what I say, and maybe that's why he goes to the Spring Court, because he's like, okay, I'm gonna just get away from my dad, but maybe he eventually...
He goes to the Spring Court where Amarantha and Tamlin are fucking around? Because Tamlin knew Amarantha because Tamlin's dad was on the side of Hybern. Because when they fought in the war 500 years ago against humans, Tamlin's dad was against humans. Baron would be too, right? He's a dick. That's fine. And so they were on the side. So when it says, right, his commanders, his deadliest warriors, Tamlin was also a deadly warrior, remnants of the ancient armies that once sailed to the continent to wage brutal war against the humans, that's also Tamlin, as spies, courtiers, and lovers infiltrated the high fae courts and kingdoms.
No, but Tamlin is actually born... No, he wasn't part of the war. I just read this part today for some reason, but...
Oh, he was too young?
It said, Rhys said he was born after the war, but... Well, yeah. But
I saw a theory that I do not like, and I don't... Yeah. Anyways, I didn't like it, but it said that Rhys is Tamlin's dad.
No, some things are too far.
Yeah, I was like, no. But that's why, like, the family, whatever, because Rhys had an affair with Tamlin's mom, and I was like, no, I don't like it.
Yeah, I hate that. I fucking hate that. I do think some shit could be connected in weird ways because they're weirdly like two. They're also kind of two sides of the same coin, but I don't know. I'm just thinking of maybe Lucien was like supposed to be a Hybern's emissary. He goes to spring court because he doesn't want to, or he wants to get away. But maybe he's also now he's like, I gotta do it. I should.
Or it's very simple, right? Maybe it's not all of this. Maybe it's very surface. Okay, so Hybern is pissed. So he sends his generals in as spies and courtiers and lovers, right? So Amarantha is supposed to pretend to be a lover or a love interest for Tamlin, right? She's trying to infiltrate the Spring Court, okay? It backfires on her because she falls for Tamlin, whether mated or not. She clearly wants Tamlin. And so she disobeys Hybern by taking Prythian for herself, the deceiver.
Oh, I thought she was always going to take Prythian for herself, and that's what she came over to do.
I think what happened was that she went in there as one of these spies or lovers or courtiers or whatever. She did, in fact, fall for Tamlin. Again, mate bond or not, don't care. She falls for Tamlin. So then her deceit is that she's no longer going to fight with Hybern to bring down Prythian because now she's in love with one of the High Lords, right? Or the son of the High Lord. So now she's on the side of Prythian. But when Tamlin doesn't, like, you know, the unrequited love, when he doesn't respond, when he doesn't get with her or whatever, then she gets so pissed that she's like, cool, not only am I going to, like, fuck Hybern, I'm going to tear this bitch down myself. Until I get what I want. And the only way that really justifies that level of like, oh, no, see, now I want to be the one to make this bitch burn is a mate bond. Because she could have just gone back to Hybern and been like, cool, fuck it, burn it.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, she is, I was thinking she just wants to jury in Prythian. Like, you know, just fucking torture it for, you know, but
yeah, but isn't the idea is that if Tamlin comes to her, then she'll let the rest of Prythian go?
Yeah, I think so. That's so weird now that I think about it. It seems like insane.
Well, yes.
Like, but she is insane. I guess that's the thing. It's
yes.
Like, she's fucking insane. Okay, so, but I was like, they call the deceiver. Isn't that, that's like, I feel like I've only, it just gives me Bible vibes. It was like, this
yeah,
is like,
Judas gives me Judas vibes.
Or no, like, I feel like a name for Satan is like the deceiver in the Bible. You know, but like, I mean, no, it definitely is, but like, I don't know. It just feels like weirdly, I don't want to say too important for Amarantha, but maybe like for a villain that dies in book 1.
I mean, it definitely has some Bible vibes, right? The deceiver, and then she's in all red, and she lives in an underworld space, right?
Yeah.
And she carries the soul of somebody in a ring, right? That's kind of
yeah,
that's fun. And hangs out with a bunch of demons. Not really, right? But like the ACOTAR looks kind of like a little demon.
And then also, yeah.
But again, you like that's always you have to wonder like how much of like those sorts of things are a direct influence or just because they're in the zeitgeist that like those tropes happen, right?
Yeah, and then both all possibilities are always possible.
I think that this is one of the moments other than the cloak is a really good, not good, but it has a little bit more of a case to be made for this being related to Kaltain, because of like this fear of being caged.
Oh, that's what you were talking about earlier. Yes.
Yeah, because it's like we're not alone. And then instead of it, like the first thing that the Suriel says is not free me. It's actually human. You like, I mean, it is, but it's like you must free me and run. Like, it's not just a like let me go. It's for both of them to survive that, right? So there's this sort of I don't know. There's something there. If like yes, it's fear of the Naga, but I also think that there's a little bit of a fear for Feyre too. Like you need to release us and we need to go.
Yes.
And then it's like, and then again reiterates, run for the High Lord's manor. Do not forget what I told you. Stay with the High Lord. Live to see everything righted. And then she asks, what is it? And the Naga, fairies made of shadow and hate and rot. They heard my scream and they smelled you. Free me, human. They will cage me if they catch me here. Free me and return to the High Lord's side. And so like this fear of being caged by it being an italist, like, right? Like,
yeah,
they're gonna cage me.
Well, and also I'm like, why would they cage the Suriel? Like, what use is the Suriel to them? Like, you'd think maybe they're just gonna kill it, or like,
are the Naga Ilkin?
Well, I think that's a theory.
Made of shadow and hate and rot.
Yeah, it would make sense. They remind me of so dark that they seem made Starless Nights. Both reminds me of Rhys, because that's kind of a starry night is what reminds her of Rhys, but the Starless Night is almost the opposite, or even like maybe an Origin, like he's like this whatever. Anyway, but that reminds me of Void, like the Void, and so I don't know, but like
I mean, then that also speaks to why the Suriel would be particularly scared of them, and they would cage the Suriel because Kaltain escaped the Valg.
Okay, yeah, so.
And if they are creations of the Valg, part of the Valg from the Void, all those sorts of things, that could be why they wanted the Suriel caged. Because she was once like, caged by them. That, or just like, that's her experience with them, right?
Yeah. Well, it made me think like maybe they have a use, maybe Naga used the Suriel for some reason. Like maybe that, I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's just fucked up like that. Like, you know. I just thought it was interesting that she said they will cage. Like, we're telling us so early on they're going to cage her. It makes me think, oh, they don't want her to die. They have a use for her.
I think the Naga sound like Ilkin to me. Especially when I look on the next page where, like, they have razor sharp teeth and a forked tongue and amber eyes. Oh. That's reading into the next chapter. We're not there yet, but still.
Amber eyes.
Like witches?
The Dark Mother has sent us a gift. I mean, I'm like, the three-faced goddess?
Yeah. Well... Or maybe because remember the Ilkin, I don't know if the Ilkin were, but remember the Valg were impregnating witches.
Yep.
And Kaltain knew that and saw that because they were going to use her. And Allied. They were going to use Allied.
I wonder if people have other theories of the Suriel too, because I think Kaltain is the most interesting one. But I
wonder if Sarah just like sits at home and listens to all of us speculate all of her shit, and she's just like, yeah, I mean, I guess I gotta write it like that now.
No, she'd be like, they guessed it. I can't write it like that. I have to change it.
She's like, the Suriel is just a Suriel. It's fine.
Yeah, that's probably what it actually is. It's like, dude, you're thinking too hard.
She's like, I am in fact creative enough to come up with more than one character, that the Ilkin and the ACOTAR and the Naga are not all the same beings.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, girl, you were the one who established connections between these series, and so that's why we've got thousands of tabs.
Yes. So, yes.
Wow. Okay, well, yeah, next week we talk about the actual Naga experience, which is also very interesting, and yeah, a lot of really,
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Also some compassion. So I think like the sort of the solidification of the Suriel being like, Feyre's she all right. Right, because I think that there's already a little bit of a camaraderie there, or at least a concern for her, right? Being like, this is what you need to do, you'll be fine, this is how you stay safe. And then when there is a threat, like that's part of that warning, like run, go away, free me, run away. So I think that even though we get this predatory feeling when it enters into the forest, I don't think we leave with feeling like the Suriel is a predator to Feyre. And then Feyre solidifies that by actually saving it.